Hey guys, welcome back to Team Death Slinger. My name is Peter, and today I want to talk about the ban list. So with BT16 coming out, we know there's a lot of conversation about power creep, and power creep has kind of been a topic of conversation since BT14. This game is speeding up. There's a lot more ways to generate free resources, and every set it feels like we have a new card that comes out that just kind of tops or one-ups whatever was going on in the set before. So in this video, I want to look at some cards that I would potentially think should be put to 1, and maybe talk about why. So we're going to start with Yellow Vaccine. We have Patamon and Emissary of Hope. I do not think that both of these should be hit. I think one of these two cards needs to be hit. I have been vocal about my feelings about Yellow Vaccine. I think it's a little bit cringe that this is the only color and the only engine that exists that generates as much free value as Patamon and Emissary does. Patamon effectively says that you get to Digivolve for free by searching your security, and if you have a level 4, you go into it for free, and then the Patamon Inheritable will actually gain you a memory. So, start of your turn, doesn't matter if you get choked to 1, you're going to 2, and you're evoing into a 4 if you have it, which statistically, you should have it, which is strong. And then if you have Emissary, you can search your security, Digivolve into a Vaccine, as long as it's level 6 or lower, and then if you have a TK, you recover 1. Which is also really, really strong. And I think both these cards just enable Vaccine to high roll really, really hard. And I don't even think the cards really have downsides. If Patamon didn't have its starter main effect, it would still be good. That Inheritable is just good. And getting a free Evo on top of it is just icing on the cake. Emissary is a little bit more restrictive in the fact that you need to have TK in play to get the full value, but everybody who plays this card, if you're playing Yellow Vaccine, you like that 3-cost TK that nets you a memory when you recover. So if you get a starting hand that has Patamon TK, you're pretty set to go. I mean, you're probably going to have the TK to get the Emissary effect. And these two cards effectively allow you to go into a level 6 turn 2 if you have the pieces. And there's just, I don't really know if there's any other deck that goes level 6 turn 2 with 1 memory. Like, it's kind of insane. Turn 1, Patamon, TK. Turn 2, you promote the Patamon, get a free Evo, you get 2 memory off the Patamon, the TK. Then you could Emissary into a 5, and then hard Digivolve into a 6. In BT16, you could go into the Rapidmon with the Patamon effect, and then Emissary into the Rapidmon X. So you've paid 1 to go into your level 6, and then you could go Ruin Mode on top, or hard play like a Floodgate. You could put down a search tool, put down another tamer. Like, it's really, really, really strong. And in my opinion, one of these two cards should be put to 1, just to kind of rein in the value that this deck generates. On that note, Ruin Mode is extremely strong. I don't know if there's another card that exists right now where when I have yellow or purple, I just feel like it has to be in the deck at 1. It is such a good control tool to effectively tell your opponent they are not playing the game for a turn. And if they do have something that is bigger than 5k that they can put out on the board to try and make some progress next turn, well, if I swing with the Ruin Mode on my next turn, I'm going to pop it, and I'm going to recover, and I'm going to hatch an egg, and I'm going to make lots of progress by doing that. And I just, it feels oppressive in some cases, especially in Yellow Vaccine, where you could run, Mario was running that Marcus engine with the Venusmon, where you go into the Ruin Mode for free, and you basically just lock your opponent out of Digivolve effects, and then blanket minus 10k their board on the next turn, and you build another Venus stack, and you just keep rinsing and repeating and DP minusing, and it's really, really, really strong. I think Death X-Mon also should be at 1, but that's just because the card is really, really good against wide board. I don't know many people who would realistically want to run it at more than at 4 or 3 or whatever. But I think, for posterity's sake, if we're going to restrict Ruin Mode to 1, I think Death X-Mon also belongs at 1. These big level 7s that just kind of restrict what your opponent can do so hard, unless you have like a hard removal out to the card. It just feels bad. And they're so expensive. I know they're getting reprinted, but like, these two cards feel more than anything like the pay to win in this game. Like your deck, when I did my regionals, just putting Ruin Mode in the deck made it like twice as viable. I mean, that card wins you games. And I just don't think it is necessarily the most healthy to be able to spam it out in the game. On that note, Numemon, X-antibody, BT15, this card is a menace. The fact that it can play you out a level 6 is insane. I know that if this went to 1, Numemon as a deck is probably way worse than it is now. But this is the card that makes Numemon good. And if you think Numemon is a problem, this is the card that needs to get hit. I think this card should only get hit if they are going to follow the philosophy of bringing down the power level of the game as a whole. If they're going to keep, I mean, we have spoilers for BT17 and beyond. It doesn't look like that's the plan. It looks like decks are just going up and up and up. And if that's the case, I think Numemon probably is fine. I just think the deck is silly. Every time we get a new yellow level 6 or black level 6, this card just has new top end potential and the ability to become relevant again, which I don't think I really enjoy. But love it or hate it, this is the problem card for Numemon. And if you like the deck, you'll probably disagree that this should be put to 1. If you hate the deck, you're probably like, yeah, I hate that card, put it at 1. It's kind of the same thing with Vaccine, where if you really like Vaccine, you probably feel like, oh no, don't get rid of my Patamon and my Emissary. Like, Emissary has so many restrictions, but when you play against it, when you're on the receiving end, you're like, yeah, that's a problem. There's the topic of our discussion, Magnamon X. This card is just insane. It does so much. It blocker armor purge. It gets a DP boost. When a card is removed from security, you activate the when digivolving and it's immune again. It is just really hard to get rid of. And in its archetype, too, it having armor purge and the card below it probably also having armor purge means that to remove the stack, you have to kill this card not once, not twice, but 3 times to be able to effectively remove it. And the problem with that, you could think of it this way. When you have a stack on the board, you have 1 damage on the board. And despite the fact that you could bring this all the way down to a rookie, that is still 1 damage. If this is on board and you have no security, you have to kill this 3 times to stop yourself from losing the game. And they're allowed to have 4 copies of it. And not only do you have to kill it 3 times to get rid of it, it is immune to all of your effects. And it has blocker and a DP boost. So how are you easily getting rid of this? I mean, it's really, really tough. I mean, honestly, like, I think I think it's too much, but if we look at, JP results for EX6 and then BT17 and stuff like that, Magna X is good, but it's also not still the best deck in the game, which means that it'll have its phase and then it'll fall out of favor, and that'll be that, unless best of threes really shake up how this deck plays out. But I just don't think it's healthy in any card game to have Omni Negates. I just don't like them. I think you send your game design in a really slippery slope of making things better, and how do you make something better than being unaffected by every card in the game? So there is that. I know some people also disagree with that take. That is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinions, but that's just how I feel about Magna X. And then in the same vein of free value, the Ukomons. You could argue that the Ukomons are every other color's answer to Yellow Vaccine. Yellow Vaccine gets their vaccine engine, and every other color gets Ukomon to like shovel out eggs and go nuts. I just don't think. I think there's a world where you could run 4 copies of each Ukomon and just shovel out all 5 eggs in like 3 turns, honestly. And I don't know how healthy that is for the game. And this Ukomon specifically, I feel like, is really, really, really good. Like, you shovel it out, you get a new egg, you look at top 3. I mean, decks that are really tamer reliant. I feel like a lot of the new decks, like the Dorogoromon deck, the SOC one, where you need a rookie and a tamer to make a play. If you have this card and you have one of your 2 pieces, you're rewarded for using it because you get to search for the piece of the duo that you're missing, right? I use this in Dorogoromon to put it down, promote, and then I either find the missing Kosuke or get the Doromon I need. And that can be good, but then there's other decks that just run away with the advantage that the Ukomons generate. Like we've seen Red Hybrid gained new relevance because Ukomon just lets it shovel out damage. I mean, that's a deck that takes advantage of the fact that you don't have to build a full stack to go crazy. And I think there will be probably other decks like that in the future. And it's just kind of a future consideration that you have to make for the health of the game. I mean, right now it might not be the biggest deal. It might never be a big deal. But I think if I'm going to stand by the fact that Vaccine is unhealthy because it generates too much free value for players, then I should also stand on the hill that Ukomon is probably not healthy because it generates too much value for players as well. It just depends, I guess, on what your taste is, and if you think the game is getting way too fast, or if you enjoy, the speed of the game right now and the fact that new decks are going to keep getting crazy like that. So that is my piece on bans and restrictions. So either Patamon or Emissary at 1, Ruin Mode at 1, Death X at 1, Nume X at 1, Magnex at 1, and then one of the 2 Ukomons at 1. Maybe both. I don't know. You know, I'm not a great player. These are just opinions from somebody who plays casually. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. How do you feel about these cards being potentially banned? Do you have any cards that you think should be at 1 or 0? Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.